to win in life, you need to be so clear on what you're not good at and what you're great at. Once you create momentum, it just starts going and going and going.
You've done a lot of podcasts, you've done a lot of conversations, you've been on stage. I want to dive into like stories.
Let's do it.
Is this the life you've always wanted?
I'll never forget that my partner said we're gonna sell $250,000 of ours in our first year. I was like, dude, you guys are crazy. How are you selling that?
Yeah.
Who's buying it? No one knows us. He said, that's your job to figure out. I said, that's
Your brother-in-law is very adamant about, okay, let's do this therapy thing. And you were adamant, like, if I'm gonna do therapy, you're gonna do social media.
It's been a hell of a ride, but it doesn't guarantee that it's gonna work out. And still doesn't. Between you and I didn't even think it was gonna work.
Really?
I just, I needed something to keep going. There's a side of it that's ugly.
You said that you were good though. You said you were like, yo, I'm the happiest guy alive.
I wasn't though.
Yeah.
Dude, I wasn't, and I was put on a show. At the time I went through heartbreak, I closed my other business. I was lost, I was actually lost. What do I do? Am I useful? Am I useless? All these things. Midday Squares is a chapter, but Jake Karls is somebody as well. And Jake Karls is the overall theme, and Midday Squares is part of it. But it doesn't define who I am.
Do you think you would have been part of Midday Squares if you hadn't have broken up with it? You're just on stage somewhere.
With Harley, yeah,
Yeah, like-
Harley from Shopify.
Oh, I know of him, but I don't know
Legend.
him personally.
So, yeah, we did it was my first time ever in doing what you're doing right now is interviewing, but
Okay.
moderating in a fireside style chat. So it was me and him. It was 650 entrepreneurs in Montreal, our hometown. And it was electric. Dude, it was fucking electric. It was an hour conversation and a 40-minute Q&A. He's obviously had a very interesting journey.
Yeah.
He's built a very nice business. And I think top 20 in the world.
Just a nice one.
Yeah.
Just a
But he's very
business.
cool. He's he's super energized. He's super about storytelling, passionate about helping entrepreneurs, which we need more of, especially in Canada. You talk about Winnipeg, but overall of Canada, we need to have more entrepreneurship. We need to have more people taking risks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of my personal mission is outside of building a chocolate bar company, is to show people that you can win by being you and taking whatever fucking path you want to take.
Okay.
So that's kind of my what I'm trying to do on the outskirts.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is this the life you've always wanted?
I would say I didn't know. I actually want to be a hockey player, so no.
Yeah.
I want to be in the NHL, but if you look at why I wanted to be in the NHL, I like the grandiose of the theater and the fun and you're out there, you're with people, you're also performing.
Yeah.
And then that's what I'm doing today. So I do even today, when I'm here in Winnipeg, my agent booked me for this speaking gig, which is a big speaking gig, but the cool part about the speaking stuff is I'm telling a story not just about Midday Squares, but it then creates fans for my brand. So it's this flywheel that's happening. So I'm on stages, I'm on the NHL, of course, but I'm on stages, I'm doing cool things. I get to inspire people, just like hockey players inspired me as a kid, right? Yeah. So there's correlations. Did I ever think I'd be doing this in a chocolate company? Absolutely not. You told me that years ago. Was it? You're even 10 years ago. Crazy.
But you're traveling the world. You intense
Dude,
schedule
I travel
back to the
100 plus
world,
flights a year. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, there's a side of it that's ugly. Traveling at first was easy. You talk about your first 50 episodes. My first 50 trips were this is the sickest thing, bro. I'm in LA, I'm in New York, Miami, fucking Texas, Winnipeg, Vancouver, anywhere, wherever it was, cool place that I didn't go to ever.
Yeah.
And it was electric. And then now it's every week I'm going somewhere and I'm used to hotels. Doesn't matter what they look like. It could be the worst hotel to the best hotel. It's it doesn't faze me. It's a 4-room wall. Yeah. And there's a part of loneliness and I think that's a big thing that people don't talk about.
Of course.
I'm open to talking about that.
Yeah.
But then it's part of the game to greatness, right? So even if I'm on the flight, I'm sitting on the fucking flight, I'm looking at a fucking seat for 3.5 hours. I'm just looking and I'm why am I doing this? But then I get to do what I get to do and I'm I love it, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyways, do
you remember the first flight you took?
Are we going by the way?
We're live.
Okay, we're live. Okay, cool. I didn't know. So do you remember the first flight? I remember a conversation with my sister, with my partner, my business partner. My brother-in-law is my other business partner. And we're not partners. We're not in business because we're family. I think that's important. We are family, but because we complement each other. But I never forget, I was failing as CMO of the company because we started the three of us and I wanted a big title. So I was CMO, my sister was CEO, and my brother-in-law was CEO, so co-CEO. So I needed the chief something.
Yeah, chief marketing.
Yeah. And I'm good at marketing. I'm a good storyteller. But I tried to fit in that role and you have to manage people, you have to build, and I was really horrible at it. And I'll never forget, I was trying to fit this in and I was trying to push. And I step down from it and I start to realize like, what's my value? Who am I? Because I couldn't do the job. I was really bad at the job of CMO. And as I was stepping down, I was in this like weird like limbo phase of like, my partners were very supportive. They're like, figure out what you want to do. You're a huge value to this organization. You started with us. You're a co-founder. Like, just figure it out. So as I was trying to do that, I was lost. Like my identity was lost at one point. I was like, what do I do? Am I useful? Am I useless? All these things. And I'll never forget, my sister said to me one day, she's like, you're good with people. You're great at telling stories. People love meeting you and seeing you. They like your energy. So get on a plane and fucking go do it.
Hey, shit.
So what did I do? I heard that. I was like, what do you mean get on a plane? And she's like, go to LA. We were launching in the US, or sooner or later, we're doing biz development. And I was like, well, I don't have a schedule. What am I going to do? She's like, just figure it out. And I booked a flight and I went, and I was scared shitless. And I think this was one of my first trips. That's why I'm bringing it back. And I sat in the hotel. I think it was DoubleTree. And I was like, what do I do? And I just started reaching out to people. And I started looking at like stores that we wanted to sell in. And then I started to get momentum. And I realized that once you create momentum, it just starts going and going and going. And the next thing you know, I was at an event that night and I met a bunch of people in the consumer world. Then I reached out to the person on LinkedIn and asked me, he's like, oh, I'll meet with you tomorrow. Boom.
There you go.
I started to realize that my role is a rainmaker. So my role is to make friends for the organization. And the way to make friends is to be very loud, because that way people can, they know who you are. They want to see you, or they want to meet you, or they don't want to meet you, one or the other. And then the second part was, bring these relationships back to my team, whether it's the sales team that needs it, whether it's the finance team, like an investor, a retail partner, or a new team member. And that way I'm basically independent of Midday Squares. So I'm doing my own thing. I'm building my brand. I'm telling my story. I'm out there doing speaking gigs, podcasts. But in the end, it's just bringing people back to the ecosystem over time. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen today. The relationship starts as a friendship, and then eventually, if that turns into business, great. You're not
looking at it as like, I'm taking this fight for an ROI.
No, because I don't have the ROIs. Because I created my role. I knew that if I had an ROI, this would not work. Why wouldn't it work? Because I don't need an agenda from you, and you would feel that agenda, and you'd say, this guy just wants to get me to invest, and then it becomes very transactional.
Got it.
Rather than like, let's go out and have fun. Let's have a conversation. Let's go have dinner. Let's go work out. That way, if I consistently kept doing that with you, eventually we start to find relatability. We start to build trust, and then I know that you're an investor, and I'll say to you, hey, we actually are raising money. Do you even want to talk to my team? I'm not going to be part of it. No. So then they'll be like, actually, yeah. So then what I'll do is I'll take you, and I'll be like, okay, team, meet XYZ. Take it from here. I step back. I don't talk to them anymore. I now only talk to them as a friend. And then usually what ends up happening is, because we've built that deep relationship, the trust is there, they end up working with us. So it's a huge win. And the whole winning part of it is that there's no ROI that I'm targeting. Now, listen, if I was gallivanting and jolling around and doing nothing, then eventually that would be a problem. But, I've brought in, millions of dollars of investment to the company. I've brought in new retail partners that have created millions of dollars of revenue for us. Simply from being out there, showing up, getting on planes, meeting people, and telling the story really loud on social media.
Just being human, like connecting with someone on a real human being.
Not authenticity is a buzzword, but actually being you. You're great for you. I'm great for me. I can never play your game. You could probably never play my game. And the reason being is because we as humans are put on earth to do whatever our purpose is and our superpowers. What gets weird is humans tend to veer from them for some reason until they find back their path. And then once they're on their path, they start to win really big. For me, I've gone on the veers, and I know what I'm really good at, and I know what I love. And every single time, that's what I'm going to stay doing. And for me, that's rainmaking, making noise, getting on stages, going on podcasts, speaking to people, and just making friends.
You mentioned the side of storytelling. And I think that a lot of people say like, oh, I'm a marketer, but like, what does that really mean? Like, if you define the word marketer, and I think your take on that, briefly what you mentioned is like just telling stories and being authentic to who you are. You've done a lot of podcasts, you've done a lot of conversations, you've been on stages. I want to dive into like stories for this episode. I want to like pick apart certain moments throughout your career that maybe you reflect on, maybe you don't, but diving into those kind of specific.
Let's do it.
So you mentioned that you weren't a great CMO.
Horrible.
Why? And what specifically made you think, because you said you're good at marketing, you're still good at storytelling, good at connecting with people. What made you a bad, quote unquote, CMO?
I think my expectation of the CMO was that you know, at first it was just, you know, you tell stories and you make noise and you build community.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm actually good at.
Sure.
But what I ended up realizing is there's a lot of bureaucracy behind the CMO. There's a lot of management. There's a lot of strategic planning. There's a lot of holding people accountable. And that's just not my skill. And I tried to do it. I tried to play to that weakness of mine. I really wanted it to work because I respect a lot of CMOs. I watch them on TV sometimes.
Yeah.
I look at them on social media. I follow them.
Yeah.
But I was just missing that aspect of leading in that part, being a leader of that category in our business or that department. And I just wasn't a good manager. And not being a good manager makes it very hard to be a CMO who's leading the actual marketing, the strategy of the whole marketing or the organization. So yes, I do a lot of marketing today, and my marketing is telling stories. My marketing is making you feel part of Midday Squares' community, becoming a friend of mine so that we can build together. But I am not a good CMO. I'm not a good manager, and I don't want to work on that right now. I want to play to my strengths, whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But I'm good at what I do. I'm good at what I do, and I want to lean into that at all costs right now because I believe that that's the biggest value I can now bring to Midday Squares and bring to our shareholders and our organization. Now, if I was the CMO still, I'd be struggling. People would be quitting because I don't believe I'm a good manager. I really don't. I look at my partners and I look at my COO, who's unbelievable manager, and she, like my CEO, she holds people accountable. She's able to lead. She's able to create that structure, that process, the bureaucracy that's needed,
Of course,
for an organization. I'm not good at that. So I realized that to lead, to win in life, you need to be so clear on what you're not good at and what you're great at. And once you know those two things, get rid of this and just go all in on that because you will be the best at that. And that will lead you to whatever it is, whether it's a career that you're going to go build, whether it's a business, whether it's in your marriage or like your relationship of life. You know, that's something that I do. You know, even like, again, stories to me is just what happens in this journey. And I shared it in a way that makes someone interested.
Got you. And you started this with your brother-in-law and your sister, correct?
2018, August. Dude, it's fucked. It was fucked. In a condo kitchen the size of this, smaller than this room.
Yeah.
The three of us were crazy delusional, out of our minds. We were like, they were like, we're going to build the next biggest chocolate bar company at the time in the better for you space. I looked at them, I said, you're crazy.
Yeah.
At the time I went through heartbreak. I closed my other business. So I basically went bust on a business. My ego was completely shot. I needed something to keep me busy. So I was like, you know what? I believe in these two entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They're great operators. And again, I was not a good operator. So it's like, let's combine forces. We joined August 4th, 2018, hand making bars. 200 followers or not a lot of followers. Started posting everything on social media. That was my strategy. Like show everything, good, bad, ugly, storytell like that. Next thing you know, momentum blowing up. Because people cheer on the underdog story, number one. And number two is people respect hustle. So like when you watch people hustle and work really hard for something, you just want to be part of somehow, whether it's buying the product, telling people about it, cheering on all that stuff. And then third, we had product market fit. So we knew that the product wasn't just built out of thin air. It was actually built on data. We saw that dark chocolate at the time was growing very fast year over year, and that plant proteins were also growing year over year. Just made a baby, those two categories. So
great.
So we had product market fit, and then we tapped on a story that was relatable to people. And when it's relatable, they care.
And then building in public and everybody seeing that as well.
Yep.
Did you believe in your partners as entrepreneurs or just as family?
No, not as so family. I love them, like I deeply love them. I love them more than ever today. But I believe in them as actual operators. I trust them with manufacturing. I trust them with building product, getting the margin, to all the stuff that I don't look at or don't pay much attention to. I trust them so much to take care of that, and that's what they're great at. So I only went into business with them because I believed in them as entrepreneurs.
Not as I believed in them as a family.
No, it was not a family. And even the product, I was like, whatever product we're going to do, it's going to continuously change over time. And like the new innovation that we have coming from Midday Squares, I'm not going to say what it is because I'm not supposed to. My sister will kill me. But it's a completely new product. And it's like, if you would have said that when we started, I would have said absolutely not. So good businesses continue to iterate and iterate and iterate with data, with consumer feedback. So like, I don't know, like for me, like, again, I trust them with I trust them so much with operations, and they trust me so much with storytelling, relationships, and making sure that I'm bringing people to our organization that will help our team.
Gotcha.
Like that, like they don't know what I'm doing here today. And they didn't even ask me why I'm going to Winnipeg, Like you think they would ask, but they're just like, oh, he's definitely doing something that's going to bring some sort of value to the organization, and we don't question each other unless there's a major failure, which again, that will bring us to, we have therapy that we go to together with a coach.
I got a question about that.
Yeah,
actually.
we work through things.
Yeah.
So it's like a thing we work through.
So you mentioned a story about how when you were first starting, your brother-in-law was very adamant about, okay, let's do this therapy thing.
Huge advocate of it.
And you were adamant. It was like, okay, if I'm gonna do therapy, you're gonna do social media.
Yep.
Can you break down that story of like that conversation?
Yeah, I think look, for me, I pitched them the moment I joined as the third founder. My whole pitch was a slide deck that had 2 slides. One was the Backstreet Boys, one was Spice Girls. And I said that if we're going to win, we are going to act like a boy or a girl band. Okay. But instead of selling records, we're going to sell chocolate. And they looked at me and they said, what the hell does that mean? But my brother-in-law kind of he's like, wait, bands, you're fans of them. Mm-hmm. You don't just listen to music, you go to their concerts, you buy their merch. You're part of their story. So I was pitching them on this concept where it can't just be a chocolate bar. It has to be something that's emotionally connected to people. People need to actually care. When they go to a grocery store, they need to be like, I know these people, I love them, or I fucking hate them, and I'm not buying it. But at least it creates their attention because there's 40,000 products in a supermarket. So if we want to stand out, we couldn't spend the money to stand out. We couldn't amplify our voice. Yeah. We needed people to care. So I said, let's act like a band, but instead of selling records, we sell chocolate. And they're introverts, so they were like, what does that mean? I'm like, well, we're going to show the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to show, what this looks like on an emotional level of building a business. I'm not talking about making the product. I'm talking about the fights. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the therapy sessions we do. At the time we weren't doing them, but I was like, the breakdowns, the moments of chaos. Let's unfiltered show everything. Yeah. That way people can feel like they're front row on this journey. And they were like, this doesn't make sense. They asked me at the same time if I would go to therapy. Because they said that if we don't work on our communication as partners and as family, we might not be family after this journey. Because when you bring money, when you bring entrepreneurship, business, it's a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
The odds are stacked against you. Businesses, if you look at the data, they're not supposed to work, by the way. There's very limited amount that actually succeed. Yep. And my partners were just like, if we want to do this, we need to be communicating for alignment at all levels, every bit. So he said to me, I'll never forget, Nick said to me, my brother-in-law, he said, we're going to go to therapy once every 7 to 10 days, perpetual, for good or bad times, and good and bad, not just bad, but good, to protect our partnership.
And what'd you say?
I said to him, dude, I'm the happiest guy. I don't need this. I was in fraternities before hockey. I was like, I thought therapy was for when you're going through something, and I was naive at the time, right? I was immature, and now I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I've been depressed multiple times on this journey. I've gone through burnout and moments of where I've lost control of my life and felt like I didn't even know who I was. And therapy is what got me through. And it's actually empowering. It's not for people that are, people would say damaged or going through something, quotations. And that's what I used to think.
There's a stigma around it.
Which it shouldn't be. This is, I look at it as athletes, LeBron James has so many coaches around him. Why don't you have coaches around you? Why don't I have coaches around you? Mental coaches, physical coaches. Mm-hmm. This is a mental coach. And if your mental health and your mental check is not in check, for example, you're fucked. Mm. So when my partner said, you do this, I asked them to do the stories. We both made an agreement. We signed those agreements and we said, we'll give it a couple months. And if it doesn't work, it's done, this thing. And those were the 2 best investments Midday Squares made to date, guaranteed. Mm-hmm. Storytelling has driven the brand. And therapy has made sure that my partners and I remained aligned, remained family, and loved each other, and has allowed us to make critical decisions in moments that, had so much pressure and moments of absolute chaos, carnage that have been, therapy has allowed us to get so clear. And we always say, we got somewhere, not just, arguing, but we actually led to a decision and an action, and we respect each other through that. And I think that, again, I would advise anyone in business to go to a therapy or coaching or some sort of communication effort, because without communication, everything will collapse.
Mm-hmm. You said that you were good, though. You said you were like, I'm the happiest guy alive.
I wasn't, though.
Yeah.
Dude, I wasn't. And I was put on a show. Why I was doing that was because I got out of heartbreak. I went through heartbreak at that moment. So my ex-girlfriend, who I respect dearly, we don't talk or anything, but we were dating for 4 years prior to Midday Squares. And she broke up with me. I don't know why. I still don't really know why, but it was one of the greatest moments of my life, because I'm grateful she did that, because I had to go through that moment to see a lot in my life. I had to like go through pain and like real adversity, and people don't realize like heartbreak is, if you haven't gone through it, it's tough. It's a tough time.
Yeah.
And you know, I was always put on the armor, like I'm good, bro, like I'm good, but I wasn't. And at the same time, I also went bust on a business that I put so much effort and time and money, and I had failed in public. Like I literally failed. I was telling my story out loud, and I had to shut the business. And to admit that is not an easy thing at 24 years old.
Yeah.
So those two things happened, and I always just didn't want to acknowledge that I was going through such a hard moment in my life. So I was like, I'm happy. Like, again, I was always in competitive sports. I was always, that person, the happy-go-lucky, jolly person. But I was masking certain things just to get through. And when I finally went to therapy, I realized it's what you make of it. If you're going to be open to the communication and like how to work things, like, use tools and stuff like that, it will make you better as a human. It will maybe give you more perspective. It's different for everybody. But for me, what I needed was clear perspective on situations to understand them in what makes sense to me and my psychology. And like hard conversations, I would always avoid those prior. Yeah. Now I lean into them, even if it's uncomfortable still. I know that that's where the greatness happens, as you go through hard conversations and things actually get done. So like, therapy has paid off. Now I go with my wife too, who I love dearly. She's a rock star, but we work through things. And even her, she was hesitant at first to go with me. She's like, that means we're failing in our relationship. It doesn't mean we're failing at all. It actually means we're number one, protecting. Yeah. Number two, we're investing in the relationship. And since going, we've built way more success in the relationship. And I would say to everyone, it's like, I'm now a huge advocate for that. And I'm a huge advocate for mental health because I've gone through those moments of lows. But again, it was my insecurity at the time that was saying I'm the happiest guy in the world, because that's what I was trying to show people in the life I was living.
Do you think you would have been part of Midday Squares and like taken that leap of like, I got to do something, if you hadn't have broken up with her?
Oh, I would have. So it's funny you asked that question. No one's ever asked me that question. And I go on a lot of podcasts and I do a lot of like talks. If she didn't break up with me, and again, like I know we're talking about her a lot. I actually have respect for her tremendously. And she's a very cool person. But if she didn't break up with me, I was actually going on a weird path of like becoming a nurse. I want to become a professional nerf star.
Yeah.
Like I saw these guys on YouTube, and like there's this guy Paul I'm a huge fan of.
I was going to ask you about that, but yes, keep going.
Dude, but this is my path. So there was two paths. It was either nerf star, which I actually want to do YouTube nerf, which is kind of funny because it's performative and stuff like that. And I do a lot of stuff similar to that today.
Okay,
I looked at him and I said, okay, let me think about it. So I was trying to do the nerf thing, and my brain was on the nerf.
How deep did you go? Like,
dude, I did like content and shit. Like I went to like somewhere in Quebec. Like I took like, we battled with other YouTubers. It was like pretty wild. But then I realized like it's all, like the scripted was too much, because it was like you're placed in like acting more or less rather than you just being you. And like with Midday Squares, I was able to just be me, but still tell a story, right? So anyways, back to my brother-in-law. So he brought this up, and then my sister came to talk to me, and we had to work through certain things because we have history. We loved each other, but we had past history growing up. Sure. But then I took a month or so, and I'll never forget, the last thing my brother-in-law said to me was, let's go on a walk. And it was the final, because I didn't make a decision. I was like in this thing called analysis paralysis. I was like, do I join Midday Squares? Do I dump the rest of my money into that? Or do I continue doing Nerf? Do I go to Snapchat? I was lost. Like I was actually lost. And he took me on a walk, and I'll never forget this. We went, it was summertime. It was July. I think it was July 2020, July 2018. And he took me to a cemetery, and he took me to where my grandfather was buried. And
damn.
I was like, why are we going here? And he looked at it. My grandfather was a great salesperson. He actually used to come to Winnipeg all the time, by the way. Small world. He used to say the Sandman hotels or stuff like that. But anyways, great salesman and storyteller. And he just said, like, we looked at the grave. There was like a stone, and he's like, your grandfather was an amazing salesman, and you have that ability to tell that story like he did. And we really want you to be part of that, but like we can't wait any longer. And it wasn't like a question of like pressure or anything. It was just like, and as I was looking at the grave, I felt his energy, my grandfather, that like he would want me to do this, and I loved him, and he was a wild guy, and he was a storyteller. And I was like, I get a chance now to go tell a story, and actually do that. So we walked back. I didn't say yes, but I said yes like a day or two later, and it hit me. And I joined Midday Squares, and it was just like, let's go. And at the same time as the heartbreak, I was like, this will distract my mind too. And we went guns blazing, 5 a.m. till 5 p.m., hand making the bars, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., hand delivering the bars, rinse and repeat. I no time to think.
Yeah.
And I just loved being around that energy of chaos and momentum. But that cemetery walk was the last straw that kind of pushed me. I don't know what it was that actually made me make that decision. Maybe it was seeing my grandfather, like, at the grave. I don't know.
Wow.
But and he doesn't even know why he brought me there too. Like
Really?
he did.
Nick was. It wasn't like a.
No, because he respected my grandpa. He didn't know him. He just heard the stories of his like who he was and how he told stories and sold products and stuff like that. So in the end, it made a lot of sense because I do go on the road like he did, and I do a lot of the rainmaking that he did indirectly. But that was like the turning point for me. And I moved back to my parents' house. I invested all the money I had, and I said to myself, this is my last journey of entrepreneurship. At the time, now I want to do it forever.
Yeah.
But I didn't have more than this last straw in me because I just did 2 businesses prior. I've been doing it for 5+ years, and people are already telling me to get a job. Like,
And you're like 24-ish?
24, 20. No, I was turned 25 in August.
Okay.
So right, I turned 25 when we launched Midday Squares.
And you thought that was going to be your last business when
Between you and I didn't even think it was going to work.
Really?
I just I needed something to keep going. And I'll never forget that my partner said, we're going to sell $250,000 of bars in our first year. I was like, dude, you guys are crazy.
Oh, look what you did.
Who the fuck's selling? How are you selling that? Man, that's like 100,000+ bars. How are you selling that?
Yeah.
Who's buying it? No one knows us. And he said, that's your job to figure out. I said, that's fucked. And
Fuck you.
yeah, I was like, fuck you. But he's like, I can promise you this. He's like, we've done the data, we've done everything, we know that there's a market for it.
Yeah.
So
Smart, man.
just make noise. And we blew past that in like the first 3 months. And it was like, at that moment, I was like, wow, this is real. And then I realized that this could be the rest of my life potentially, or this can be a very meaningful journey of my life. And yeah, and then I haven't looked back really since. We're now a team of 60 amazing people. My partners and I don't do day-to-day operations anymore, thank God. But we've sold over 65 million of these bars, which is crazy from that $250,000 goal. We have a factory today. We built one in Montreal that does like 150,000 of those a day. We were only able to make 50 bars a day max, the 3 of us by hand.
Yeah.
In 2018. So we've come a long way, and we sell in like 10,000 stores across Canada, US, and it's been a hell of a fucking ride, but it doesn't guarantee that it's going to work out.
No, exactly.
And still doesn't. There's always still that uncertainty. Even though we've had good momentum, there's still that unknown that always lives.
Yeah.
But I think the unknown today is more like what I've gone to learn on this journey was a privilege. Who I've been able to meet and what I've been able to do has been nothing more than fun, crazy, wild, depressing, exciting, monumental. I mean, and just like I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
Sorry, Robin, real quick, just before we move too far past the therapy thing, I wanted to ask you, is there any specific therapy sessions that stand out to you and that really kind of changed the trajectory of the business or how your relationship with your family went?
Yeah. So we go once every 7 to 10 days, right? Yeah. So good or bad times. It could be just nothing to really talk about, but just like things will come up in the conversation. But some stuff like, I'll never forget, I used to have to sit through sessions in the year 2 of the business. And my sister and brother-in-law, co-CEOs, also married, and they were having a hard time with their marriage. So they had a hard time with intimacy and managing the company together. And it's hard. Like when you're doing business with the family, it's like everything becomes that.
Because they say don't mix business and
you shouldn't unless you're prepared to protect it, right? And invest in communication. So I used to have to sit through the therapy sessions with them as they worked through their problems, because I needed to know as a business that we're going to get through this, because they were running the company. And like, this is our livelihood too. So I'll never forget the amount of conversations I used to sit with them just to listen, and how they worked so hard on working on communication and how to understand what they both need in their lives to make this all work. And they ended up, after months, like they ended up working this through, and they developed like tools and tips and tricks to get through this as co-CEOs and love each other dearly, which they do. Wow. And it was successful. And I'll never forget, we shared a video called 14 Days Later, No Divorce. And it was like a comeback story, whatever, long story short. And it was just like, that was one of the most meaningful stuff, because in that moment, two people I love were going through something very hard in their lives, and it would have changed the trajectory of not only Midday Squares but our family as like a whole. Like my brother-in-law is a big part of our family. Like, you know, he, you know, I didn't grow up with him, but like he's now part of it like tremendously. So, you know, if they would have gotten divorced, what would have happened? That would have been like, you know, like, so like at the end of the day, like, you know, our coach, our therapist, Dr. James Gavin, you know, he didn't tell them what to do. He gave perspective, clarity, and worked through their communication. And I watched the magic of that happen. And in that moment, I realized how powerful therapy can be. And, you know, 2 years later, I started going, or a year and a half later, I started going with my wife. And it's not that we were on the verge of divorce, but I wanted to just strengthen our communication, strengthen our understanding of who we are as individuals, not just on like the mid-level, but like, let's go really, really deep. Let's go to childhood. Let's understand each other where we might not understand how we want to be communicated to. And our love languages, I know it sounds weird, but the person you're choosing to live your life with is probably the most important decision you're going to make, because yes, you can get divorced. You can do all these things, which God willing, I'll never get divorced. But that's your best friend. That's your number one supporter. That's the person that's going to be along the good and the bad with you at all times. They're seeing everything. And just to give you an example, last night I came home feeling like a little bit sad and about stuff, and like I was feeling really down, and I was anxious about my trip to come. Like I didn't want to truly travel, and she was there to take it. Like she was there and she uplifted me. And guess what? I woke up and I was amped up and I was ready to rock. She, without her, or without that decision of having that person in my life, I wouldn't be with you today in this conversation. I wouldn't be here. Midday Squares probably wouldn't be where it is. So again, therapy has been a huge, not only protector, but growth factor in all of my relationships, both professionally and personally.
Yeah. I wonder how many people do that, or how many companies do that.
Not a lot of companies, but
yes.
Some of the big companies. So my partner, Nick, was introduced to this by a big company. I'm not gonna say their names. I don't know if they want me to say it, but sure. They're a top 20 company in the world.
Okay.
And their executive team goes to it. And it's just to work through communication, because a lot of the data shows that a lot of businesses fail, not only because of bad products or lack of capital, but because of founder conflicts, partnership conflicts. And I get it. When you're in a pressure cooker, when you're building a business, things go wrong. Money gets involved. Yeah. Somebody might be, misalignment can happen really quickly. You might want to sell it. Yeah, exactly. And then if you don't communicate, one's like this, and boom. Yeah. But if you communicate and you stay aligned throughout the pressure, through the hard times, the good times, you're just aligned. Yeah. And you're open and you trust each other. So I think that like we've done a really good job of navigating that. Again, without Dr. James Gavin, I wouldn't be here with you. I would have left the business a long time ago.
This reminds me of a clip that I've seen of Kobe so many times, of like, they ask him, Kobe, how many more championships would you win if Shaq was still there? And he goes, bro, we would have taken over. And the only reason the Lakers fell apart was because of an internal thing. Of like,
internal collapse.
And of like Kobe and Shaq not like going towards, right? Yeah.
It happens all the time. Sports, 100%. It happens with coaches, it happens with businesses. Boy bands. Every single thing. Communication is one of the most important investments you can make as an individual. So as boring as communication sounds, it's critical to the infrastructure of any relationship that you're going to have, whether it's marriage or whether it's business or whether it's your friendships with people or your colleagues.
100%. And that builds the trust, because there's no trust built on the first day, but like
you can't buy trust. You have to earn trust. And that happens with business too. And like, again, big part of Midday Squares was being authentic, and like not buzzword authentic, but actually showing the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the spectrum, so people can actually feel that's not cringe and it's not just like trying to get something. They start to build trust over a period of time. And when someone builds trust, they're not just going, like I said, buying your product. They're now going to their dinner table and they're telling people, I love this product. I love this company. And you got to check them out. And they're becoming those advocates for you without reason. We have hundreds of thousands of those.
That's insane. Just now that you're saying it, you're not only communicating internally, but you're communicating with your audience. That also builds trust. You're communicating the good, the bad, the ugly. And that's what in terms builds the trust, the same way it does internally.
It's like talking about things like that are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, even the therapy, like when I first started talking about it, people were like, oh, you go to therapy? Like you're always dancing and having fun. And I was like, yeah. And what it does is it shows vulnerability. And vulnerability is what connects us as humans, right? So I'm not saying share only bad things in your life or hard things. Like you should share some of your greatness too, because, I was on a panel with Harley Finkelstein yesterday. We were doing a fireside chat. I was interviewing him and we talked about in Canada, like something that we can do really good that we should be doing is celebrating each other a lot more. Like if you have your podcast or I have my business, like there's an abundance of success available. So like when you start growing, like, let me keep uplifting you and pushing you up rather than saying, well, you know, they've interviewed that person and it's whatever, like his energy's been down lately.
It could have been better. It's not what it used to be.
It's not what it used to be. That's these are very dangerous things, right? And I love Canada dearly, by the way, and I love Winnipeg too. Like I said, I have one of my closest friends in business, Mike Fada, legend entrepreneur, lives here and he loves Winnipeg. You should get him to. You should go. I don't know if
We've talked.
You've talked. Well, we'll get him on it. But what I was trying to say is like he's someone that uplifts actually a lot. So we just need that culture to create, and this country could be the biggest, one of the best in the world in terms of economic success and entrepreneurship and innovation. And that's a big thing I'm trying to cheerlead a lot of is like, how do we bring that abundance mindset instead of zero-sum game?
I want to talk about the rise from, okay, now we have a product. I'm doing this Midday Squares thing. When did you stop doing the balloons per thing?
Well, we used to do balloons.
Yeah, like
you're talking about the physical balloons?
Yeah, like those like photo shoots that you did with the balloons.
Those were, yo, dude, that was wild.
When did you stop those, or when was the idea, and then when you stopped those?
I think after a year and a bit. But like I think like here's what happened. Like
10,000, 100,000,
250,
750. Like,
I remember. I think I always tell people we used to do photo shoots. In the first like 2 months, we'd hire a professional photographer. We'd get a studio. We'd take shoots that were like as if like we were a boy or girl band, and like people would be like, "What the fuck is this company? Like, why are they doing photo shoots?" So it made people like, "Who are they? What's with them?" And it created an energy. It created hype, momentum, excitement, curiosity. So I remember one of the big things was celebrate the momentum that's happening. So big balloons was like a way people party. They like that. So we started taking these big balloon pictures, and then eventually like it became like we did. Like, it was too like we needed more originality at that point. Like we needed something new, and then we did a birthday cake, and it was like fire, and our team was dancing and throwing cake at each other. And then we did a wrestling match after like surviving after 5 years. I think our 5th birthday, we did like we actually did a skit of like WWE, and we hired wrestlers to like say that like to try to beat us up. Like my partners and I, and like we got dressed up in character. Like they were being thrown, and cake was being thrown at us. Everything was happening, but we ended up beating them. And the whole idea was that no matter how much shit we take, we still standing. And like we kept doing those, and we haven't done one in a while. But I think in January, because with our new innovation, it's a whole new rebrand of the organization as well. You're going to see major content come out. And I realized that people love seeing it and being part of it. And they're curious. So like as a business, you have a unique opportunity to do that. Whether it's balloons, whether it's cakes being thrown at each other, whether it's wrestling matches. You need to make people care and make them pay attention. If you don't have attention in today's world, you're fucked. You can't, doesn't matter how good your product or how good your service is, if you can't get people's attention, you're screwed. Early on, the balloons were able to get people's attention. Then it became wrestling, and now it's become something, you know, we need to figure out today. We don't know what it is, but again, storytelling is the true forefront, but we still do those professional shoots. It's just now that's for like e-com photos or magazine photos that were in our newspapers that want that photos. But again, at the beginning, everyone's like, why? Why? But again, that why got us in conversation. Midday Squares was in a conversation, whether it was good or bad. They were talking about our brand, which keeps people on top of mind. When you're a snack, you want people top of mind all the time.
How much did they mean to you personally?
Oh, me a lot. Probably the most to me, because again, this was my first business that was really taking off like significantly in terms of like just like we were selling, and there was structure, and there was actual process, and like this was real. This wasn't like a little mom and pop business anymore. This was like, you know, we have 60 people with us now, and like we sell in 2 countries, like, you know, so like all these milestones was to me so important, because it was like, wow, we climbed another mountain. Now we're going back down. We got to climb another one. But it just kept being like, fuck, this is working. And I'm a huge believer and on momentum. Like I talk about, like you keep saying the word on this podcast, but momentum happens when something good, you do another thing and keep going, and then that exponentially goes up over time. But it's one of humans' greatest forces, because it just compounds really quickly.
Mass time velocity.
But you need to create the momentum. And doing the balloons and all that stuff, the fire, the sparklers, it creates momentum. It creates energy for your team to be excited, fired up, amped up. And I always say, if you're low energy in your business, people are going to feel it. Your customers are going to feel it. Your investors are going to feel it. The journalists that might want to write about you will feel it. Your new team members that you might hire will be like, what is this company? So whatever kept the energy up, we would do. And I was a big part of doing that, was energizing, running the whole company. And like these balloons and these hype was a way for the company to feel like we are progressing.
Yeah.
We are moving forward no matter how hard it is and how much pain we're going through. We need to take these moments and create that momentum and celebrate.
Do you remember one that now that you look back is like, oh, tiny, but like meant the most?
The first retailer.
And the reason I say that is because when we first got 100 subscribers, I was like, shit, we've done it.
But
it's over. Like, we have peaked.
But do you remember you talked about university before college? Like, I used to think, like, I'd go in these big classrooms. There was about 100 people in there.
Yeah.
Like, and that was a big classroom. There's a
We
lot
had
of people.
400 in ours, yeah. I know, like,
But 100 subscribers is
one quarter of
is
that.
a quarter of that fucking stadium or whatever. Sorry, the classroom. Like, that's a lot.
I couldn't comprehend that. Like, I could not comprehend. Like, there's like some sort of limiting belief in my mind
There
that
always
was like,
is.
yo, like, this is like a lot of people. We're good.
Dude, that's what I always say is like, it's easy to say I want to be a billion, I want to get to a billion, this, that. It's very hard to get there, by the way. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
But if you appreciate the little stuff that you go through, the little wins, and you let that compound, like we talked about, momentum will create, and you will eventually get to that level of wherever you want to get to, whether it's a billion, whether it's whatever the amount is. But what I would say to like my journey was, our first retailer was this bagel shop, and it was a guy that took a chance on us. And even having my own product, sell at a little local bagel shop in Montreal when we started, was like the biggest dream, because it's like my product lives in a fridge somewhere. Like someone else is taking on that risk, even though it was a consignment at the time. But he was putting it in a space, and he gave us a chance. And I was so proud, because I was like, this is insane. Like, something we created from scratch is now living in somebody else's four walls, because they believe that this is something that their customers might want.
Yeah.
And I told my partners and my team, we need to sell that out within hours. And what did we do? We got our friends to go. We got social media. We posted, go buy it. And they did. And that created momentum. And then we've got another retailer. Now we're in 10,000. And every time I go to, Costco, in my neighborhood, and I see our stuff and I see people buying it, like literally picking it up, I'm like, what the fuck? I think back to that bagel shop. So when you see that moment was like life defining for me, because it also realized that, like, you need to believe, you have to have faith in what you're doing and actually truly have conviction. Like, when I pitched that bagel shop, I really, like, I was like, it's going to sell. Like, and now I apply that everywhere I go, because I truly believe. And sometimes I'm wrong, but that belief, people can feel the energy that on the other side of the table, whether they're making a decision to take my product or not, that there's a transfer of energy. Anyway, so going back, unfortunately, that guy's not in business anymore. His name was Jeremy. So if he's listening to this podcast, shout out to him. He was a big catalyst for us to get momentum and growth early on.
Do you think
the first?
Do you think he knew that?
He worked so hard, man. Like, I know this guy was like a hustler. He was exhausted. He wanted to do everything. He loved his business so much, and he was willing to do anything for it. And it was inspiring for me, because I looked at that guy. He doesn't know that I looked at him. I looked up to him at the time. I don't know where he is today, and I wish I could see him again. But the way he worked and he cared about his business, the customers, he would show up. He was behind the counter doing the turkey, putting the butter on the bagels. He was grinding, cleaning up at night, doing everything. And that was totally inspiring, because it made me want to work hard. It made me want to hustle. So I don't know what happened, but like I said, I don't know if he knows this, but I'm super grateful. The whole team at Midday Squares is super grateful, because that started everything.
Do you think he took a chance on you or the product?
I think us, my partners and I, because he listened to our story. And there was another group that we're very close with today, named Marché Tao, Tau. There are 6 stores in Montreal, natural stores, like kind of like a Vita Health out here, I guess, which is a great retailer that we're partners with too, and we love them. This guy Matt Holtman, he's great. But Marché Tao, we went to pitch our story to the owner, found their family, and he listened, and he said he saw something in us, and it didn't make sense to take one product, because we had one little chocolate bar and to put in the fridge. The fridge was, why put a chocolate bar in the fridge? To him, it was crazy, but he believed in the story. And he said, I'm going to help you. And what he did was, he didn't just put our product in his 6 stores. What he did was, he told his team, this company is from Montreal. we love them. Let's help them win. And he put us in multiple places in the store. He ended up changing the entire business for us, because what happened is now more people that didn't know us started trying our product, and we were being seen in the store, where usually you'd have to pay for massive amounts of money for end caps or fund of the store, grab and go. He did it because he believed in our story and he wanted us to win. And they've still become such a critical partner. We're going so strong with them still. I visit them almost once a month just to hang, not even about business, just they'll talk about life. I dance with one of their teammates, this guy Stuart, every week or 2 weeks when I go down in the grocery aisles. We sometimes take our shirts off, we laugh, we dance, we go wild.
Hop in the shopping cart.
But yeah, hop in the shopping cart. But the truth is he believed in the story.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And it obviously aligned.
Can I ask you, you mentioned the word faith, and I think that the word faith means something different to just about everybody.
Everyone.
Right? What does it mean to you?
Faith to me means like believing in something bigger than what you're doing. So like for me, like I don't believe in just a chocolate bar. I believe that I was put here to try to inspire people to take risks and to lean into who they are, because on my journey, I pretended to be someone for many years. I tried to fit in. I tried to play it safe. I had insecurities on my academics. I tried to just get passed through and get the job because that's what I was supposed to do in societal expectations. The moment I let go of that and I finally leaned into who I was, I felt this freedom. And you could feel that in career, you could feel it in entrepreneurship, you could feel it in school. It's different for everyone. But for me, the moment I leaned into who I was and that I believe in Jake, I have faith in Jake as a human to the world, was the moment everything changed in my life. So if I could pass that on, then I've done my mission. And last night, I stayed in 45 minutes after the talk, after an hour talk, to meet with, close to 100 students. And we just talked about a lot of like fear and like, believing yourself, like the limiting beliefs that you talked about. And I still have certain limiting beliefs, but I stood with them because for me, it's not about selling the chocolate bar. It really isn't. It's that I actually have faith in them becoming our next generation of entrepreneurs, next generation of risk takers, next generation of people that are going to build, Montreal, Winnipeg, wherever. Yeah. And that's what my faith is. I believe that I'm meant to do that. And if you don't believe it, it's not authentic, because then what are you doing it for, right? So it has to be bigger than the actual physical item or what you're doing.
Almost like a full circle moment of like Jeremy believed in you and you're instilling that same thing.
He had faith in me.
Yeah.
He had faith in my partners. And same did Andrew from Reshaped. He had faith, and he still does. And when someone does and when someone
100%.
doesn't.
You could tell.
Right away, the energy's there. So like that, I think, is what faith to me is. I think it's an energy and it's conviction. In something bigger than just yourself or the product you have or the things you're wearing. Like it's way bigger than that.
This is a personal question. How do you still have the same level of excitement of the small wins versus like as they get bigger and bigger?
I'm fucking tired. So I'm physically tired today, but I'm also tired. Weekly or bi-weekly, I go through these moments where I'm like, do I want to do this? Like I was on the plane today, staring at a wall a thing in front of me for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I want to be home with my wife. I want to eventually have a family. I want to see my friends more, play Catan, board games, play hockey. I love these things. And like sometime along this journey, I forgot about a lot of those things. And I ended up having a burnout, which was horrible. And like I had health issues and it was pretty scary at the time. I was injured I fell playing hockey in my back. But during those times, the couple things I got through was I did hypnotherapy, which helped, which is not medical advice for anyone, but it worked for me because I had a lot of like OCDs that were out of control.
Like hypnosis.
Yeah. I did it with a professional. Yeah. I did a ton of therapy and I worked on just learning my body, understanding like my mind-body connection. But at the same time, I started to re-celebrate again, like the little things, not the big things. Not just looking for like, can I be on the front magazine of Forbes or ring the NASDAQ, the bell, like I'd done all those things and it was cool. And like I was chasing more of that rather than, appreciating the little things, the privilege of the journey, the messy middle, which is actually the most fun. Even though it's painful, even though it's not the, huge moment where you get $1 million PO or $10 million PO, it's not that, but you start to appreciate the little things that actually is what drives the whole thing, right? The whole journey. And I had to like rewire my brain to kind of like celebrate little things and appreciate that. Like, even I'm here in Winnipeg tonight, like I'm on a podcast. I'm on a podcast with you. Then I'm going to give a talk tomorrow to hundreds of people. When would I ever like years ago, I would never thought I'd even have the chance to be invited to do that. Like, it's a privilege.
Yeah.
So like, that's where it comes back to celebrating the little things. And that makes you more, I guess, like, grateful.
Do they feel as big though? Like, do they feel as big as the first retailer? Do they
Listen,
feel as like you've been on the cover for like Forbes?
That was
you ran
cool.
those things. Like, did those feel as big as the first time someone took a chance on you, and the first time you saw some random person eating your
I think
bar?
the bagel shop was the biggest thing, one of the biggest things, and then the Marche Tao was like insane. And like when we opened when we moved from our condo kitchen to our like little kitchen that we moved into, that was like a horrible building, literally horrible.
Let's hear it. What's the story
It
about
was
that?
tiny. Like the hallway was like devastating small. People were sharing offices. Like the heat in there, it was crazy. Like the factory didn't even make sense that we were making the bars on these big tables. There was like, at one point there was like, I don't know, the fridges weren't working. Like, it was a crazy thing. And it was just so chaotic and startup like, but moving in there was huge. And then like, we built our own factory, and like, it's a beautiful factory. My sister, got these engineers to build these crazy custom machines. And like, if you go back there, like in the facility, like I'll go back once a month and I'll just look at raw materials going on a thing and then coming out as a packaged good. And that's when I feel really inspired.
Yeah.
But like every other thing that happens, it's just like, it's part of the journey, and we got to keep going. And I miss the moments of appreciating a lot of those things that happened and actually taking a minute to feel it, take a step back, experience it, joyfulness. But now it's just like, okay, like I have a speaking gig, I'm going to do it. Let's give it our all.
Yeah.
Let's win. And then what's next? So I have to still do a lot of work now to realign and rewire myself. But like I said, I was trying to do bi-weekly now, celebrate those little wins. Or big wins. Like obviously the big ones is mostly everyone, but I try to get our team riled up. I used to get our team dancing for the littlest wins. Like everyone in the office, I would literally say, guys, 10-minute break, let's fire it up, dance, throw music on. And it was like the littlest thing. It was like, we want a packaging thing, or like, we just hired somebody, or it was, we got into a small little retailer, or we launched a new city. But we haven't done that in a while. So like, I think like it's my role as the energizer bunny to bring that back, and drive that, because that's what actually drives me as well.
Is it hard to keep chasing for those limiting beliefs, in the sense of like, you're in 2 countries now, right now, and like doing millions of bars, but then you compare yourself to others that are worldwide, multiple retailers, multiple companies, billions of bars.
Yeah, there's so many.
And so like, at one point when you were selling 10 bars out of your condo a day, that would have been enough. But now all of a sudden you're comparing yourselves to the big dogs in the world. And like, when does it ever get like, okay, well, this game never ends?
It doesn't end.
Yeah.
That's
that
why
scary?
we do things in 3-year stints. So like everything's 3-year plans, and we follow those to the T. We don't think past them. We just build the company from an innovation perspective, distribution, margin, revenue goals, manufacturing goals for those three years, and then we reevaluate after that. So that helps with like not thinking massive. Second thing I would say is, like honestly, like it's easy to get caught in the yardsticking game. It's easy to get caught in the who's doing what and why not me type of thing. But that's an old way of thinking for me. My new way of thinking was, number one, I'm focusing on my journey. Like my journey is a unique journey, and I'm grateful to be on that journey. Number two is, if you're doing bigger, better, wilder things than me, like I'm inspired by you now. Like it's not zero sum. Like we both win, right? And even if you're a competitor of mine, like I want you to win too. Like, and that's freed my mind a lot. Was like having that abundance, and it changed a lot for my life. And I worked again. That was through a lot of therapy stuff. But again, like it's easy to get caught in that noise. And the truth is, in life, or in entrepreneurship specifically, because I speak from the entrepreneurship angle, is you need to block out noise. You need to trust your gut. You need to follow what your greatness is and just stay true to it. And it's easy to see something trigger you, but then come back. Just always veer back. Believe or have faith so much in what you're doing that it won't take you there. Jeff Bezos always said he focused on obsessing with his customer's experience. He had so much competition. At times he didn't care. He knew about it, but he focused on, I want to give the best experience. And guess what he did? He built one of the biggest businesses in the world
100%.
because he focused. So when I look at other people, I'm not I'm not angry or upset or feel bad about myself. I'm more like, this person's inspiring. What can I learn from them? Or what can I learn from that company? Because they've done a lot.
Yeah. I want to respect your time because I don't want to keep you for too long.
What time is it?
It's 8 o'clock.
Got about 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, cool. The last story I want to hear from you is the Hershey story.
Yeah, I love Hershey's. We don't talk about the story anymore, but we're friends with them. They're a good brand. And, I always say, like, there's moments in time that things happen and you do and you groove, but storytelling can be done anywhere, right? And look, when we started this business, big consumer brands was, like, we always looked at like these big consumer brands and we're like, these are it's crazy. Like, you look at these, like Hershey's, Mars, Mondelez, like, they've built massive infrastructures. Like, they employ a lot of people. They do a lot of greatness, and they've done the impossible, by the way. Like, it takes many, many years to build what they built. And we're friends with them, and we look up to them, and we learn a lot from those companies. And we're not really supposed to talk about their
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But great story though. Off the record.
Can you tell me off camera?
Yeah.
Okay. Bro, you've done so much, and like, congrats on all your success. Mad respect. And like, I came across you guys through like that social media world of like Midday Squares is changing the social media game, and you actually did. When people get into the world of entrepreneurship, myself included, we see the big achievements, right? And many of them you've achieved. Like, that I hope and pray that one day those happen to myself and the people in this room with us.
Well,
yeah. How do you get on the Forbes list?
Forbes is awesome. For me, when I was 19 or 18, I was in high school, and I'd always look at those lists. Or I think I wasn't high CJEP. I can't remember. I was in CJEP in Montreal. I was like grade 12, 13.
Yeah.
Or it was college first year. I can't remember, but I always looked at those lists and I said, one day I want to be on that. Like, I was just like, these people there's so many cool entrepreneurs on there, creators, all these different types of people. And I just said to myself one day, and I started manifesting it. And when I started entrepreneurship, I realized that if I can make impact, that could actually bring me to it. And I didn't really do anything different. I just told my story really loud on social media, and we continued to execute our greatness of Midday Squares that we wanted to execute, and the world started to recognize it. And I think that, when you're out there and you're building something awesome and you're out there and people see it and they can experience it, you start to get noticed. And I guess we got noticed, and the Forbes team liked Midday Squares. They liked the journey, the story. Again, come back to the story and product. Yeah. And they've been an awesome organization since. Like, I love their network that they have. So if you're out there going to get on the Forbes list, I think number one, manifest it and believe it. Have faith that it's going to happen. Number two is build out loud and tell your story, because people are watching. You don't know who's listening. You don't know who's watching your posts, who's listening to your podcast, who's buying your products. You have zero clue. Yeah. And I think that, like, you also don't know who's in the room with you, who's sitting next to you on a plane, who's at the dinner table. So always share your story loud and proud. It takes one person to change the entire trajectory of your life. The Forbes thing was a dream for mine. It was a bucket list item, and it happened. And now it's just like a thing on my wall. But the network's awesome. Yeah. But for me, what I did was I knew that if I told my story, they were going to see it.
Somebody would see it.
And they saw it. And anyone great in the world, or anyone in business that's doing greatness, if they want something, they're going to go get it. And they'll do whatever in their power to go get it. And that was one things, that's something I wanted at the time. And if anyone that's listening and go through it is build something awesome that people love, whether it's a product, a service, content. Tell your story loud and proud, and just be you, because no one in the world is you, and your DNA is different, and no one can copy you. They can copy some of your products, potentially they could undercut your prices. They can't copy how you make people feel, and when you make people feel something, action changes, trust changes, decisions happen. And I believe that we got Forbes' attention from that.
Are you going to manifest the world of Shark Tank when you started this world? And like,
I want to go to Shark Tank, but we can't because we're not from the U.S.
Oh, okay.
But Now we have investors, we have all this stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I always watch Shark Tank as I always watch entrepreneurs on there, and I would see them being bold, being in an environment that was scary, and they would still share their story, and they would do a phenomenal job. So I always like watch them to learn, but also to feel inspired and cheer them on. And I think Shark Tank was part of the reason I wanted to become an entrepreneur generally, and Dragons into and all that stuff. But the truth be told is, I did do mini Shark Tank. I'd go pitch investors.
Yeah, you've done it.
Camera. Actually, our own cameras were there, so we always had cameras. But it all comes down to storytelling, because your story can move them to a yes or a no very quickly. When someone wants to believe in something, they need to be moved, emotionally connected. And again, we keep talking about storytelling. I keep bringing it up, storytelling, because I know how valuable it is for everything that we've done in this entire journey.
Last question for you. If you had to sum up your 16 plus years, 20 years plus of entrepreneurship and being where you are, and into one sentence that you wish the audience would know about you, what would that be?
So it's been 11 years of entrepreneurship first. So I wish it was 16. It will be 16, 20 very soon. But what's one sentence? I think the legacy I would like to have is, from my journey and the continuation of my journey, is Jake Karls was someone who inspired me to lean into myself, take risks, and share my story. If I do that, then my mission in life is complete. I'm fulfilled. And that won't end up happening because it's a forever thing and it's a continuation. Life's a learning, but that's what I'm trying to get to. And everything I do, from podcasts to speaking to my everyday at the office, my office is for that. And Midday Squares is a couple of chapters, maybe 20 chapters, 30 chapters of my life.
Yeah.
But Jake Karls is somebody as well. And Jake Karls is the overall theme, and Midday Squares is part of it. Might be all the way through, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't define who I am. It's part of my story.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Karls.